and welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live conversation web portal. This is a platform where you can engage and connect with us live on the internet through Web3 technology. You can join us in our conversations. You can send us your video and audio comments. You can send us your posts, your tweets, your comments on whatever we are talking about. Well, today's discussion is going to be on a very interesting aspect, the whole issue of the solidarity hashtag of Je suis Charlie or I am Charlie versus the hashtag of I am not Charlie that has recently come up and is gaining a lot of social traction as a new thought process, a different ideology to the entire incident. Now, you're all aware of the horrific attack in Paris that occurred, in which 12 people, and the first shooting incident, including 10 journalists, were killed in the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. Within hours of that incident, of course, Twitter rose to the occasion and there was the hashtag of Je suis Charlie or I am Charlie. Now, we also saw a massive outpouring from all over the world, various cartoonists from all over the world who in fact poured out their anguish at the attack on what they called free speech. Here on your screen, a look at some of those cartoons that did the rounds immediately, in fact within a few hours of the incident. All right, now what is really interesting to note is that when the Je suis Charlie events happened, the tweets fell into three categories. The first was, of course, in solidarity. That was offering the sympathies and prayers for the families of those victims. Those tweets, of course, will be played out on your screens while we have the conversation. The second category of tweets was those fighting for freedom of speech and quoting that the pen is mightier than the sword. You've just seen some cartoons to that effect. Now, there was also a third category, the third smaller category of people who chose this incident to attack Islam. You're all aware of the Rupert Murdoch tweet and how that gained a lot of anger from a lot of people, including J.K. Rowling. So in response to that, there was this hashtag called I am not Charlie, and what people are saying about that is defending freedom of expression in the face of oppression is one thing. Insisting on the right to be obnoxious and offensive just because you can is infantile. So you have various such hashtags doing the rounds. In fact, Al Jazeera journalists have, were one of the first to bandy those words, I am not Charlie. And in fact, what you're seeing on your screen is some emails that were leaked that had the entire Charlie Hebdo debate. Some anti-Charlie posts point out that prior to the attack, Charlie Hebdo brand of satire had little traction in the United States or among mainstream news outlets. So Islamophobia reaching a new fever pitch and the entire repercussion of all of that. We're going to talk about that. I have with me some amazing guests online, but before that, we have a video response from Pakistan. Amir Mughal had this to say, his immediate response to this entire controversy. Take a look.
First of all, I unconditionally condemn what happened in Paris. Second thing is that for those Muslims who live in the West should abide by their laws instead of demanding caliphate system in the West or USA. Third issue is the freedom of expression and freedom of insult. We must, particularly we Muslim, first of all, we Muslim must respect and tolerate other religions, and we must not insult any religion. It is forbidden in Islam to insult any religion or any deity. Second issue is those Muslims who live in the West and demand everything what is related with the liberty should also practice this themselves, because they in their parent countries, in their country of origin, do not even allow any dissent.
All right, so now let me introduce our online guests. We have 5 online guests who are expected to be on this show. Okay, we have Kirti Jaykumar, who joins us from Chennai. Kirti is a writer and a founder of the Red Elephant Foundation. Let me first welcome her. Kirti, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can, Kirti. Welcome to India Post Live.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Great. Kirti, okay, your first comments on this entire I am Charlie versus I am not Charlie that is doing the rounds.
Sure. To start with, I'd like to say that there are 3 things that come to mind. The first thing being that the freedom of expression itself. On the one hand, yes, everybody is entitled to express themselves, but like Al Jazeera brought up the fact, it doesn't give one the right to be obnoxious or infantile, and it's a fact. I mean, if there's something that's going to offend somebody else's faith, I think we need to draw a line where that's concerned.
Right.
But that leads me to the second point. It doesn't necessarily justify violence as an answer. I mean, you can't kill someone just because they've been obnoxious or infantile. Where do you draw the line between yourself and them? And thirdly, this is something I'd like to address later in the conversation. It's my discomfort about hashtag activism itself, because we forget the real issue when we're fighting about hashtags, and that's something that needs the right kind of attention.
Right. In fact, I mean, that's a very good point you raised, because I also wanted to talk about Twitter activism as a whole, because, you know, you see all these hashtags, around and getting a lot of traction and a lot of people pouring their reactions, but after a few days it really dies down, and the actual problem that we never really get to the root of the problem through these kind of Twitter or social media activism, do we? But yeah, coming to your first point, the issue of drawing the line, a very valid point that Kirti has made. We need to draw the line somewhere. We need to be careful when we are blatantly insulting a race or a religion or a community. That is what Kirti had to say. Let me introduce Seher Siddiqui now from Allahabad. Seher is a communication skills trainer, Institute of Professional Studies, University of Allahabad. Seher, welcome to India Post Live.
Thank you so much, Hitesh. What I would like to say here is that, when I was going through my Facebook, 24 hours after the attack, there were so many things that I was reading. There were people who were hurt, who were agitated, who were frustrated. I was myself very hurt because the year that has ended also, there were so many things that had went wrong, and we started the year with such a terrible attack on the Charlie Hebdo magazine office. But I would say that if I say today that I am not Charlie, the first thing that will be derivated from my statement will be, see, she's a Muslim, that is why she is saying that I am not Charlie.
Right.
But I would like to say that it is not my religious identity, but it is my feelings, my own perception, my own ideologies that force me to say I am not Charlie. We do give freedom of expression. I do appreciate art. I am a master education student. But I would not say with mockery. I would not appraise mockery. So that is what I would like to say about why I am not Charlie.
Absolutely. Okay, Seher, let me ask you another question before I come back to Kirti. India has been extremely cautious. India has in fact not republished the cartoons. Mint did, and Mint removed them from the website, stating that it did offend certain people, and they want to stick to responsible journalism. So hence, initially those cartoons depicting the Prophet were shown, and after that they removed them. But other mainstream Indian media has deliberately chosen to stay away from republishing that kind of a content. What would you say as far as this philosophy among Indian journalists exist? What do you have to say about that?
See, objectivity in journalism is a very important factor which a journalist and a media agency have to follow. But it's not only India, Hisse, that has followed that. New York Times has not published a cartoon. The Guardian, when they published a cartoon, they've printed a disclaimer saying that if you browse down, this is going to be there, and it might be offensive. So I think that why to lead yourself to that point to, I mean, it's not about only Islam. It's about every religion. Why do we have to pick on a religion to, to entertain or have humor in any content that we're displaying for public? That is my say.
Absolutely. All right. Seher, just stay with us online. Let me now introduce my third guest. We have Degran Vincent, who joins us from Paris. Hi, can you hear me, Vincent?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, on behalf of India Post Live, my condolences to the horrific killings that happened in your country. We, as you know, are an Indian online web television portal. I would like your thoughts, the first, reaction that you had when you heard about what happened in the office of Charlie Hebdo.
My first reaction, I was horrified, and I don't know, it was so amazing. So we cannot understand how such horrific things can happen.
Right. Right. Vincent, we have seen this entire Islamophobia thing doing the rounds. Like I said, the third category of the Twitter comments that came. The first was solidarity. The second was pen is mightier than the sword. And the third category of Twitter activists chose to vent out their anger against Islam as a whole. Do you think that is healthy, or are you more of the I am not Charlie category, where there has to be a line drawn somewhere? You can't blatantly attack a particular religion. What are your thoughts?
Sorry.
Okay. I'm asking you. The Twitter hashtags that have been doing the rounds, I am Charlie, Je suis Charlie versus I am not Charlie. What is your take on that entire issue? Should a line be drawn even when it comes to journalism?
It's a very complicated question.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I have not an answer to this. What can I say? Sorry.
Do you agree, Vincent? Do you agree with the fact that this new what happened at Charlie Hebdo was wrong, but this kind of caricatures, probably there should have been a toning down. Maybe a lot of Muslims did feel bad about it, and in fact, one Al Jazeera journalist has also said that I guess if you insult 1.5 billion people, chances are one or two of them will kill you.
I can understand touched by the caricatures.
Right.
But freedom of speech is one of fundamental freedom in our democracy. And even if there is some restriction to this freedom of speech, blasphemy is not a part of those restrictions in French conception of freedom of speech. So I can understand that some people can be hurted.
Yes.
But people have to understand that this is our perception of society. And Charlie Hebdo, since the very beginning, criticize and you can say that insulting into religions, but all religions. And they have the right, and they have to do this because that's the only way. The only way to improve for how that is.
All right. Let me come back to Kirti now. Kirti, do you agree that the fact that what Vincent just talked about, this situation in France, for example, if such cartoons had appeared in America, they would have been pulled down within seconds. People would have accused them of hate speech and all of that. They would have been pulled down. I'm not even going into what would have happened in India. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think to start with, the freedom of speech is very different in different countries.
Yes.
And it's also very important to understand that the freedom of speech is one aspect of it. It's the consumption of information that makes the difference. So, in a place like the US, where even outside the White House, you have a space demarcated for protest, within a matter of seconds, these things would have been taken down. But it's probably not the same with a place like France. And again, like you said, we don't even have to go down to what happens in India. What could happen in India. Now, be that as it may, I think it's very important to understand where people are coming from. Now, even if you're having a satirical magazine, and I follow the idea of peace journalism, I think there needs to be an understanding or an empathy of the consumers of your information. And in this day and age, I mean, WhatsApp is all you need to transmit a photograph across the world in seconds.
Absolutely.
So they had to have been sensitized enough to understand that putting out the cartoons the way they did could definitely offend a lot of people, and they had to have had that foresight.
So you are saying that basically somewhere the journalists at Charlie Hebdo could have been reckless in their continuous, unmitigated satire on the Prophet. Am I right?
I'm afraid of saying that it could have been reckless, because I think we're dealing with a whole system and not one person's mentality.
Right?
So I think they may have lost sight of the impact they may have had.
Okay,
And I
wonderfully
wouldn't
put.
go so far as to say they were reckless, but I think they just lost sight of it.
All right, all right. Seher, your thoughts, the new cover of the Charlie Hebdo magazine once again has the Prophet. And we are just going to bring that up on your screen now. The latest cover that is about to come out. And the Prophet is saying, all is forgiven. Seher, your comment on this particular cover.
See, when I got to know about this cover and when I saw the first picture of the Holy Prophet on the cover, it is, while we talk about the extremism that Islam and the terrorists are, spreading, and the Islamophobia that is spreading over the globe. But this cover, for me, it means it's a take by the magazine on the religion again.
Right.
You are again, taking a revenge from the whole community, because some people attacked the office and there was assumption. I'm not justifying what happened. Killing in Islam is not acceptable and is said to be one of the biggest sins. But if we are talking about one community and a part of a community being extremist, then what is this? Is this not a form of extremism? It is like the office is vindictive, and now we're going to take a take on you again. So why only our community or our religion? For me, this is a form of extremism.
Right. In fact, what Salman Rushdie himself has said, no one has the right to not be offended. And she has just talked about, why is Islam being attacked? A very interesting point, former Charlie Hebdo cartoonist Maurice Sine allegedly fired for anti-Semitism. In fact, he said he had made a comment about the son of French President Nicolas Sarkozy. He was fired for those kind of comments where he converts to Judaism, and then he was asked to apologize. He refused, and he was fired from Charlie Hebdo. So again, this entire view of Islamophobia and an attack on Islam is somehow coming out. Okay, we have another video comment on this. This video comment is from Shamila Ghas Ahmed. She is a writer and a blogger based out of Dubai, and this is what she had to say on this issue.
Blasphemy. It's almost like a fashion now. It's always in the news. First of all, Charlie Hebdo cartoon satirized all religions equally. It did not concentrate on any one particular religion. Perhaps it was distasteful at times and even disrespectful, but no matter what they did, there's no justifying killing for it. 12 people were shot dead. There's no justification. And I've always personally believed that if one was of strong faith, he would not care what the other said about it. If an opinion or a cartoon can shake your faith, literally like an earthquake, and drive you to murder, I think it's you who needs to take a step back and reflect on yourself. And besides, till the 17th century, pictures of the Prophet were very much accepted. There were depictions of him, there were actual likenesses of him, and they were accepted. No one was killed for it. And again, for the sake of argument, putting it all aside, that we will say that yes, it is completely wrong to voice your opinion about something in this manner. It's very tacky. But then don't people have to practice what they preach? The very Muslims who are rejoicing the murder, how do they feel when Muslims make fun of other religions? Does that person make fun of other religions? Only and only if you don't do this can you even be in a position to point a finger at someone else.
All right. A very pertinent point there about, what right do you have to point fingers at someone else. Seher Siddiqui, coming back to you, I will bring in Vincent after this. Seher, do you agree with what Shamila said? She has actually, I don't know how well you have studied the cartoons of Charlie Hebdo, but she's categorical that not just Islam, but even other religions have been made fun of.
Yeah, he said that is what I spoke about in the beginning of my in the beginning of the discussion itself. That it is not about one religion. It is about all the religions that are being followed across the globe. If we in Islam believe that we have to be tolerant, and tolerance is one of the basic things that is in the foundation of Islam. So, what Shamama, I'm so sorry, but I could not really hear what he said. I think because of the internet connection. But whatever I derived from your speech, I would say that that is what exactly I'm saying. That if we need to live in a better place and make this earth a better place and a happier place for each of us to live in, we need to practice some kind of tolerance. We have been given freedom of speech, and everybody starts abusing and using offensive language. The violence level at each part of the globe will increase.
All right. Let me shift gears a
yeah.
bit. Let me shift gears a bit right now. Let me bring in the whole issue of Twitter activism. And let me bring in Vincent once again from Paris. Vincent, your thoughts on the kind of, the power of all the Twitterati's, that are doing the rounds. You first had I'm Charlie, then you had I'm not Charlie. How powerful do you think Twitter activism is today?
How powerful it is.
Twitter.
Yes. I don't know how powerful it is, but what I know is that French government take this problem very seriously, because here in France, some people have been condemned yet from message on Twitter, from message on Twitter, making saying that have done well being journalists and politicians and Jewish people. So some people are already in jail because of Twitter.
Do you think it can? Do you think it is capable of, changing the mindsets of people?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. because Vincent and Kirti, I must tell you that I've often been accused of being a traditional journalist, not so much on social media, but I personally believe in straightforward one-on-one conversations more than Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. Kirti, let me come to you. My personal view is that these Twitter hashtags, definitely Twitter is extremely responsive. Within minutes of the attack, we had the Charlie. We had so many Twitter hashtags in response to every event that takes place. But do they really last? I believe that there are certain hashtags where people are responding and people are retweeting and all of that for a few days, a span of few days, and after that it dies its own natural death. What are your thoughts on that, Kirti, as a writer yourself?
And as a person who deals with activism,
Yeah.
I've always been very wary of Twitter, Facebook, and any form of social media. I think it's a good place to spread the word. It's a good place to start with awareness, but it's not the place for activism for two reasons. One, because there's nothing happening. It's a place for battle, and that's about it. Now, last month, the Peshawar attacks, everybody
Yes.
was, I'm with Peshawar, yeah, with
Yes.
Pakistan, but it's silent now. But 2.5 years ago, I'm sorry, 2 years ago, the Delhi gang rape incident. Everybody had a hashtag to offer, but now it's all silent. The Boko Haram girls. With all
Yes.
this happening, we've forgotten that 16 villages were burned,
Yes.
2,000 people were killed. Are those lives lesser in value, or is it that the hashtag is done and dusted?
Absolutely.
So I'm really worried about the kind of attention we give to these causes because it's jingoistic and it's heavily propelled towards, okay, he's doing it, she's doing it, I must do it too. But at the end of the day, we're not clamoring for the real change that we want. We're not being vigilantes. We're not demanding the change of our government. So I think we're buying into a propaganda, just jumping up with it and forgetting about it all the same.
Can I say something
Surely,
here,
surely,
Hitesh?
surely. Seher, please come in.
Yeah. See, I am not on Twitter, but I use Facebook. And like Kirti quoted the 2 years back Delhi gang rape case, there was a leaderless movement that was happening in Delhi. There were people on the Raisana hills just because they'd seen a post on Facebook saying, I am going there, right? And because it was a leaderless movement, there was social. It was purely a social media activism outcome. The opinions, the expressions that you could see on Raizana Hills that day were unadulterated. But I went there after a month in January, and there were leaders there, and there were sections from student leaders and student organizations and political organizations. It has all been politicized. 1 month later, so what Kirti said is somewhere right, but some people forget about it. But social media is providing a platform to every individual to be a part of that event where you are expressing your opinion, you are expressing your agony. So I think somewhere social media and activism that is happening is absolutely necessary, especially for a country like India, where the democratic setup is being questioned with every passing day.
Sahir, you make a very valid point with that. I agree with you. But I think we as people have to learn to use it as a platform and learn to take action beyond the platform as well. So I think if we're able to do that, then we're really making use of the platforms right.
Kirti, do you think it'll make sense if it can be more personal, like like social media, internet? It's personal, right? It's you and me. It's me and my viewer, and unlike television, perhaps. So, do you think a hashtag which makes it more personal? For example, you had a hashtag on called "I'll ride with you." You had this Australian hostage crisis, and I'll ride with you was a hashtag to protect Muslims, and it was offering to ride with them on public transport to protect them from derogatory comments. That is something that in fact got a lot of traction, and it was like a commitment. What Seher talked about on Facebook, she saw this comment, I am going there, when it came to the Nirbhaya case. I am going, it was personal. So you kind of motivated others to do the same. Do you think such hashtags might work? I mean, I'm just taking on this whole case of, personalization versus activism versus social media, the entire gamut of issues. Do you think if a hashtag is more personal, more of a call to action, it works better?
I think, irrespective of whether it's a call to action or not, it's whether you take action or not that matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you may give me a call to action, I may nod my head and retweet it and forget about it. Or I may choose to act on it. And it's what I do at that point that makes the difference. So I think even Bring Back Our Girls, it was a bit of a huge solidarity moment. We had ownership, we had a bit of a stake to play in the role.
But that died down.
Issue. It died down because no one was acting on it.
And it's still, nobody's talking, like you pointed out, nobody's talking about Nigeria. It's the bloodiest massacre. Nobody's talking about it.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty much on the lines of the Rwandan genocide. 16 villages have been burnt down, and these guys are still going at it.
Yes.
So it's dangerous, to just say that, okay, we're giving you these platforms and you should take it forward. I think it's important that we really make the effort to take the action.
Right. All right. Kirti, thank you so much. Vincent, any last comments that you have to say coming from the people of your country regarding this entire thing? How do you plan to, how do you journalists in fact plan to take this movement forward regarding free speech?
Sorry.
My question is, what next? What next in Paris? What next in France, as far as journalism is
What
concerned?
we uh, Now we are gathering in Paris. Your friends were really amazing, and it was great, great moment of appreciation. But no, I read the, the problems for the attacked women. So yes, we have a problem with Islamophobia in France. I must admit it. We have we have to make something about it. We have a problem of trafficking. Uh, so now it's time to try to resolve all those problems we have in France.
Right.
And what I say, I would say something. Uh, Freedom of speech and the right to just everything is a fundamental right, but it does mean that you have the right to be reckless to people. Uh, no, it can be a weapon to can quick people.
Okay, so you resolve to move forward in your fight for freedom of speech. I think that is what I understood from what you've just said. Great. We have just received another video comment from Amir Mughal regarding the entire issue of Islamophobia that Seher talked about, and this is what he has had to say.
And those Muslims who try to adopt state role for implementing any Islamic sentence or Islamic punishment on any suspect, they must know it is forbidden in Arabic haram for anybody to implement the sentence, which is the responsibility of a state anywhere. Islamic State and Islamic states only can execute anyone via through proper judicial probe, and after that probe only state would be implementing the sentence, whatever that may be. A Muslim must know it, that any Muslim who try to implement Islamic punishment on anybody would be deemed as a fitna, a calamity that is not allowed.
All right. In fact, those who have chosen to not republish those cartoons are not doing it out of cowardice or caution, but they're doing it so as to not hurt another community. And the I am not Charlie hashtag, which condemns the killings but also talks of responsible journalism. In fact, let me end the show with a quote from Omar Al Saleh. He is a roving reporter. He is an Al Jazeera journalist. He has said, in fact, he replied to a tweet. He said, "First, I condemn the brutal killing, but I'm not Charlie. Journalism is not a crime, but insultism is not journalism, and not doing journalism properly is a crime." So that's something for all of you, all of us journalists and all of you out there who are active on Twitter to think about. I would like to thank Kirti. I would like to thank Seher. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us on this wonderful discussion. The conversation, of course, continues on India Post Live through your posts, your comments, your tweets to us. Responsible tweets, I hope. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, all of you.